Oh, I also have to admit everyone from the lobby. Admit all. Okay. Hello, people.
Hi
Welcome
there.
to our info day. It's awfully quiet. I'd love to hear some voices.
Hi.
I think you're pretty tired of mine, but I can speak my head off if you need me. Hi, everyone.
And of course, we have note takers.
Of course. You know, I did have meetings where people would tell me, I'm sorry, I sent my note taker or whatever, my AI assistant, because I couldn't make it. I was like, is this like the new trend in meetings? You send your AI to, yeah, I hope not. I like talking to people too, even if we're like not, we're virtually in this room. And I promise you, I'm not AI generated or anything, but I love talking to people and not to AIs. Not yet.
Hi, Madeline. Yes. Please,
Hi.
let's hear your voice.
Well, I'm also not a generated, I promise, but I've been dealing with the same issue, and I just told everyone that we just straight out banned AI assistants in the meetings, and then people magically started showing up.
Well, maybe I can do that. Can reject the AI note takers. All right, let's give it a couple of minutes. Welcome everyone again. Thank you for joining our very final info day for Open Horizons. And we got a couple of extra tips for today. So this is a very special info day.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello, Paulette. We can hear your background. I don't know if that was intended or not.
My apologies. I forgot to mute myself. I should do that now. Sorry.
No worries.
Well, good afternoon.
Nice to hear a voice.
Okay.
Right. I'm gonna share a little background just to have something to look at while we're waiting for a little bit. Hello again. Good afternoon. Welcome to Open Horizons Info Day 2, the very last one. More people are coming in, so let's give it a couple of minutes. In the meantime, let me introduce our team here. My name is Virginia Vasilakou on behalf of Sploro. I am joined by Maya from Sploro, also with the lovely blue background. Anka from Innovex, who will present the program of services, and Stano Lactis, the coordinator, will do a lovely intro. All right, we're going to give it a minute before we begin. This session is being recorded, of course, as you may see, and it will be shared online in our website. So if you feel comfortable, of course, you are free to turn off your cameras, but of course, we do appreciate faces. No pressure, of course. All right, so while we are waiting for potentially more people to join, let me give you a couple of housekeeping rules here that please keep your microphone muted while we are presenting. At the end of the session, we will designate time for Q&A And of course, you may use the chat to ask your questions. And then at the end, of course, you can open your microphones, turn on your microphones, and jump in with questions. And yes, as mentioned, this session will be recorded and shared in our website. The agenda. So Stano, the coordinator, will give us a little project intro, and then we will be walking you through the open call process, eligibility and evaluation criteria, the selection process. We will go through the application online in the Explorer platform in detail, and then Anka will close with what to expect during the program of services. And at the very, very end, we will do a little Q&A. So Stano, would you like to introduce the project?
Yes, I think I can start. So and more people can join later. And yeah, so my name is Stano Laktiš. I'm from company Pedal Consulting from Slovakia, coordinating this project. And so I'm really glad all the people have joined. And I will just give you a brief context of the project and bit of a idea behind, so you know what you are dealing with, and more details on the open call will be provided by my colleagues from Sploro and Innovex. So the idea behind Open Horizons is to support the women-led deep tech and digital startups. As we identified a big gap here, we decided to create this project, and we didn't want to create just another funding scheme, but we want to really give space and funding for this for women-led startups. So we created a let's say program or acceleration program where we don't provide only funding, but also mentoring, and most importantly, connection with leading European and worldwide corporations. Yeah, so we can go to another slide. So regarding the funding, we have allocated 1.2 million euros in funding, and we plan to support 39 women-led startups. So every startup may receive up to 55,000 equity-free funding. This is divided into different phases, so the funding will not be sent in one package, but it's divided. And yeah, and as I said, importantly, the startups will receive a support in corporate engagement and investment readiness and scaling opportunities. Yeah, so this way we want to help the startups to really pilot their solution in the ecosystem of the corporation, and to give them the boost to go to market with their unique solution. Another slide, please. Yeah, so this info day is for the third open call, which is also the final one. Before we had 2 open calls, and yeah, in this last open call, which is ending on May 19th, we will support 16 startups in first stage, which is an inception stage, and then 7 of them will advance to the piloting stage, where all the magic will happen. So currently we are doing the piloting stage of the first cohort of startups, ending in May. So we are excited to have a the results of the first cohort in just a few weeks. And second cohort is starting also in a few weeks. Yeah, but more details on the open call will be provided by my colleagues, so I don't want to go any details. And yeah, who is behind this project? I already mentioned Pedal Consulting, which is coordinator, and the partners are Sploro, who is managing the overall open call management, and then Innovex, who is managing the acceleration program and corporate engagement, and company Migros from Turkey, who is helping us with the corporate engagement. We also have associated partners. You can see the three of them, Stahl, Repsol, and Siemens. These were at the beginning of the project, but since the beginning we are onboarding more and more corporate partners. And then with which the startups will be working with. So yeah, I hope that's all. So I will give word back to Virginia. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stano. All right, so let's go to our open call process. We will begin with a little overview just to show you how this is working. So the call is right now open for submissions with a deadline on the 19th of May. This is a very, very strict day and time at 5 p.m. CEST, the platform closes. So if you don't make it, we won't be accepting any applications beyond that. So make sure you submit your applications early on. Just make sure that there aren't any last minute or weird glitches. And as soon as the open call closes, then we begin with the evaluation and selection process. This will last a couple of months because of course it's summer in between, and we know that not everybody is working in the summer. So we begin with the eligibility check, where we check if the proposal is eligible. We check all the criteria if they are met. Then we do the flags check that we will talk about later, and then the proposals go into the evaluation process. After the proposals are evaluated, we do interviews with the ones that are pre-selected, and if indeed they pass the interviews, then we have the administrative check and contracting phase. Then around September, the program of services will begin with a 1 month inception phase where up to 16 startups will join. And then we have the piloting phase where up to 7 startups will make it to the piloting phase. And at the very, very end, after this is done, we have a set of follow-on activities that Anka will present later, which is all about supporting with further engagement activities the startups. Now let's go into the evaluation process in more detail. So as mentioned, at first we check the eligibility criteria and we separate the non-eligible proposals from the eligible ones. Then these ones go to the red flags assessment, which what we mean by automatic rejection here is that we practically use Excel formulas to help us filter out the criteria that we check in the red flags. We evaluate every single aspect of the application here, and our team members check these applications one by one. I'm hearing some voices. Kubra, can you please mute yourself? Because I can hear you. No? All right. I'm muting. So the flags. The flags are there as a step to help us narrow down the volume of applications up to a maximum number of 50, and those 50 proposals will go on to the experts evaluation. In the experts evaluation process, we have 2 external evaluators evaluating every single proposal. One person has a business profile and another person has a tech profile. They're both experts in the domains that you have selected and the challenges that you select as well. And after they give us their scores, we go through a process of normalizing the scores to remove any kind of biases. And then we have the first list of rejected startups, or selected and shortlisted. From that shortlist, we organize the interviews, where the interviews are attended by the two evaluators and the corporate partner. And here, startups are called to present their challenge alignment and their pitch deck. And then, after we get the input from the evaluators and the corporate partner, we have a very final shortlist of the pre selected applicants. The last step before getting into the program is the legal validation, which is just a typical step of having to validate everything about the legal entity. It's a little bit of paperwork, but easy to navigate. So if you reach that point, then the hard part's over. Now, let's go into the eligibility criteria, which is the very first thing that we look into. So at first, the application needs to be complete. All the fields must be completed, and all the information and uploaded documents need to be in English. Please do not upload CVs or Gantt charts in other languages, because even one document will be rejected. Carol, I checked the chat. You're asking for a red flag. You will find everything in the guidelines, but we will also talk about the flags in a while. So stay with me. Eligibility. So the next eligibility criterion is the digital and or deep tech startups. So you must fall under these two categories or either of these categories. Again, in the guidelines, we have specific definitions about these. So make sure to go into the guidelines and check how we define digital and deep tech. The startup must be founded or co-founded by a woman, and that woman must hold the top management position. Apart from that, all women in the company in total should own more than 25% of the shares. Again, there are no exceptions to these criteria. We will be checking these, so please make sure that you meet them. Then the startups need to be established between 6 months and 6 years. We do get here a lot of questions regarding if the project that you're working on is not a legal entity yet, can it apply? No, it has to be a legal entity established between 6 months and 6 years. Another strict criterion here. The company should also be an autonomous SME, which means that it should have employees under 250. It could have 0 as long as it's below 250. And the annual turnover should be below 50 million euros, or the balance sheet should be below 43 million. Last but not least, you should have raised less than 1 million in equity. Again, it doesn't matter if it's 0, as long as it's below 1 million euros. And of course, you should have no conflict of interest, and your proposal and the proposed activities should not be double funded. What we mean here is that if you have gotten funding as a company from another project, you must ensure that the activities that you propose in Open Horizons, which are very specific since they are tailored to a corporate challenge, that they haven't been funded before. We usually don't see a problem here because this is a very specific project and a very specific proposal, so you shouldn't have a problem with that. In case you do have questions, of course, contact us. Now, in terms of eligible countries, the first category are the EU member states. They're listed here. They are all eligible. In terms of Horizon Europe associated countries that are eligible to apply, this is the list. Not all Horizon Europe associated countries are eligible to apply, so we stick to the specific list, and the newest addition is Switzerland. Now, the flags, since a lot of people have been asking about the flags throughout the open calls. So the flags are practically a filtering system, and it helps us manage that volume of applications, narrow it down up to 50, and those 50 only will go to the external evaluation. So we have set a certain number of criteria that we look into, and the criteria belong in these 4 categories. The first category is the capacity to survive without grants, your demonstration of a strong orientation towards growth, interest in scaling and attracting investors, and whether the startup is genuinely deep tech focused. We draw information from the application. All aspects of the application are going into these criteria. We cannot share the specific criteria that we look into because we want to avoid fit for purpose proposals. And for that reason, we will publish the criteria at the end of the project. You can find that information also in the guidelines again. So yeah, if you have any questions about the flags, we can also talk about this at the end of the presentation. Now, a little pop of color to share some application tips here. Make sure that your uploaded documents are in English. Again, unfortunately, we've seen amazing applications that have, let's say, a CV in another language, and even one CV can deem your application ineligible. So yeah, please don't do that. It's a pity. Do not add information in the application that we do not ask for. So we will see in the application that we're asking for very specific things for specific years. Please do not add excess information because we will simply ignore that. Double and triple check the information you provide, especially in the eligibility section, such as company registration dates or the equity amounts that you have raised. Because, yeah, if you are deemed ineligible at this stage, then if this is a mistake, it will be a hassle for everyone to just go back and correct everything. And last but not least, do not skip the business side of things. We see a lot of scientific-oriented proposals, but at the end of the day, it has to have a business aspect. We will see more about this later in another slide with tips. So let's go into the evaluation criteria. Now, if you pass the flags assessment and you end up to be one of those 50 applications that go into the evaluation, this is what the evaluators look for. They look into excellence, and here they check how well your proposal is aligned to the corporate challenge. And let me just stress out here that it is not possible to apply without selecting a corporate challenge. So you will be asking the application to select a challenge and address how your specific solution would be suitable for that challenge. They also look at the degree of innovation, how feasible your solution is, and what kind of open science practices you implement. In terms of implementation, they look at the team composition and expertise, what kind of roles your team members have in the company, and what kind of other team members you're planning to hire in the future, how clear your activity plan is, and what is included in your 6-month Gantt chart. In the application, we are asking only for a 6-month Gantt chart. We have seen Gantt charts for more than 6 months. Again, the evaluators ignore that and they stick to the 6 months of the piloting phase. Last but not least, we have the risk management and that kind of assessment. So they also look into that. And then the third category is impact, where here they are looking into how relevant and innovative your proposal is, how if it's market ready, and if it has implementation readiness, if it's contributing to green and digital and social transitions, as well as your IPR. Now, provided that you do pass the evaluation as well, then what happens next? The next step is the interviews. So in the interviews, again, 2 evaluators will be attending along with a corporate partner. And during the interviews, you will be explaining in further depth how you are aligned with the corporate challenge. After the interviews, we communicate results to all applicants and select the successful applicants. They go through the legal validation, which is checking the legal and financial documents. And then the final step is signing the subgrantee agreement. In terms of the legal validation, just a few words to give you here an idea of what it means to validate legally your startup, because we are doing this on behalf of the European Commission. So over here, we are asking for an ID or a power of attorney or any type of company registration documents that would verify that you are indeed the owner of your company and not someone else. We're asking for a tax or a VAT ID registration. In case your company is validated in the funding and tenders portal and has a PIC number, great. If not, don't worry. We will ask you though to register for one. And in this case, we will ask for a legal entity form where you simply just fill in some like a document that the commission has provided. Then we have the financial identification form and the bank statement. These go together, and this pretty much verifies that your company's bank account does indeed belong to your company and not to a random person, in order for us to verify that the grant that you will get go to the company. Last but not least, we ask for an SME declaration form where over here we're checking the shareholder structure and as well as balance sheets and profit and loss accounts for the last 2 closed years. In case you are a younger startup than that and you do not have financial documents from the last 2 closed years, we're asking either for last year or predictions and predictions for next year as well. Then shortly about the implementation, the type of funding is up to 50K, 55K per startup. Invoices are not required in this case. There are 4 payments that happen. The first is in the inception phase, and then if you make it into the piloting phase, we have 3 payments there. And the payment requirements is to participate in the mandatory project activities, and then you are evaluated according to KPIs and deliverables by the project partners and the corporate members. Now, 5 tips about why strong startups still get rejected. And what we did here is we collected a lot of evaluator comments into these 5 tips, just to help you a little bit to get a better idea of why do strong startups get rejected after being evaluated. So the very first tip is that a proposal is not well aligned with a corporate challenge. Apparently, this is the most trending aspect of being rejected. So even if you have a great idea, if it does not match the corporate challenge that you selected, it will still fail. We do have the corporate partners on board, so they do also check that your solution is a good fit and it's not implied. The second tip is that proposals sometimes are too generic, so you should include more details. Evaluators want to look at data, they want to look at benchmarks, not really assumptions. They want specific validation information and deliverables. We also see that a lot of risks usually are not very well presented in detail. A strong proposal does show system level impact and is not focusing on only, for example, an environmental impact. And we also see a lot of times that the IP and open science aspects are too vague and they're not explained in further detail. Now, the third tip is about the business model and the market reality, which are thin in a lot of startups, meaning that we want to see how you actually make money. We want to see how you are scaling beyond the pilot. Who are your future customers? Who are your current customers? How are they engaged? What are your market entry plans? If you do not have any pilots or even some letter of interests, then it does not really present as a strong validation. So this is the business side of things that we talked about in the previous slide. So make sure that you do address that kind of aspect. The fourth tip is about the team. We do see a lot of applications where there are several profiles included, but it's unclear how these people participate, what kind of skills they give to the project. Sometimes teams rely a lot on future hires, and pretty much all these are red flags because we want to see clear links of the team members to the company, and especially the role of women in the company and the project, because at the end of the day, this project does support women-led startups. And last but not least, overloaded plans and over-optimistic projections. Sometimes when we're asking about your future projections and the future finances, we see that there is some ambition, like probably a lot of ambition, but if these are not explicitly addressed and there is no logic behind your assumptions, then it doesn't seem credible. So make sure that you show a very clear execution path and that you are very clear about your numbers and how these numbers are predicted. So getting to our application walkthrough, how to apply. You may use that link over here. Go to openhorizonsproject.eu. All the materials that you need are in the tab Resources. We have the guidelines for applicants. We have FAQs. We have info day videos, a sub-grant agreement example. And if you have questions, you can email us at oh@sploro.eu. Again, the deadline is May 19th at 5 p.m. Brussels time, not a minute beyond that. So make sure that you apply within that deadline. And now I'm going to go into the application walkthrough. Can you see the platform? I suppose you can, right?
Yes. Yes.
Great. All right, so if you log into your profile and you go over here to the top on applications, you should be able to see your application. If you click on your application name, then the full application form will load. So we begin by asking for legal and contact information. And by the way, as you're scrolling down and you do any changes, the application will be automatically saved, but just in case, if you want to click on save over here, you're free to do so. So fill in your details over here about yourself, organization information. And then we have part 2 is the eligibility self-declaration. Here we're asking about the eligibility criteria. So for each criterion, we have a question. And if you answer no, you will get a little warning that you are not eligible for this call and advise the guidelines of the call. So here are all the questions. We're asking you to specify the date of registration of the company. At this stage, we're not asking for any company documents, but if you are successful, we will be checking everything at the legal validation stage. Over here, we're asking about the equity that you have raised. A lot of people, for some reason, they select no here, which deem them ineligible, but then the amount is correct. So please read the question carefully. It says, has your company raised 1 million or less in equity? And then we're double checking this with the amount of equity that you input here. Part 3 is about the project description. So here we're asking about your solution. Over here, you have to select the corporate challenge. You can only select one, not multiple. And after you do so, you describe the project in terms of excellence, open science over here. In terms of implementation, in the first part here, you will add the profiles of your teams, and you can add more profiles by clicking on Add More. First name, last name, etc. Upload CV in English, in PDF. Again, other languages will not be accepted. A Europass format is not mandatory, but it's just recommended. Then we're asking for a PhD, if they have one, a short bio, and then how does that person contribute to the project? Then we're looking into the activity plan and Gantt chart over here. Again, we're asking for a 6-month Gantt chart, not more than that, not less than that. Please include activities, milestones, and responsible actors. Risk management, if you will be carrying all the tasks or if you need any outsourced partners. And the third category is impact. If you contribute to the green, digital, and social transitions, then a field opens up over here where we're asking for more information. Now, on the 4th section, we have startups information, activities and technologies. We're asking for a summary, which of these digital and deep tech technologies you're working on. You can click other if these are not covering you and elaborate further. Then we have funding and commercialization history. In financial history, we're asking for 2024 and 2025 data. If you do not have it, that's fine. Just add zeros in there and nothing to worry about. But please do not add data from 2026 or other years. Same for the forecasts. Over here, we're asking for 2027, 2028, and 2029. Please do not add anything from 2026 or do not skip a year. Please include all 3 years. That's really, really important. In both fields also, let me mention that over here we're asking for international presence, where we're asking you to select where you have had sales. Do not select the country where your company is registered, though, because this is not considered international sales. So only select the countries where you have sales, but not beyond your own country. Then we have interest in scaling and investors. If you're planning to raise private investment in the next month, IPR, and then explain more about the IPR that applies to your solution. Now, section 5 is ethics self-assessment. So this is pretty much everything around ethics. Most people here fall under 5.4, which is personal data. I mean, if you are using personal data or any AI tools that do that, you will probably click yes here. So, or non-EU countries, for example, non-EU member states will probably click yes here as well. At the very end of the 5th chapter, we have a little link to a form. This is an ethics self-assessment form that you should fill in case you answer yes in any of the above. You don't need to submit it with the application, but just keep it at hand because if you are successful, we'll be asking for it later. Then at the end, we have a declaration of honor, and the very last chapter is the personal data protection information. You have to agree that you have to confirm that you agree with the data protection based information. And when you're done, probably you wouldn't have all these orange exclamation marks. You should review your application and then submit. So back to our slides. My very last final slide, help desk email. Do email us if you have any technical issues, if you want us to reopen submitted applications, or if you have any other inquiries. This is our email. Please send your questions up to 48 hours before closing because the team might take up to 2 working days to respond. So with last minute requests, we might not be that fast. But before you send us any questions, make sure that you read the guidelines in detail and check the FAQs because usually we get similar questions and we just point everyone back to the guidelines. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, have a sip of coffee while Anka is walking you through the program of services.
A well-deserved sip of coffee, Virginia. Thank you so much for this. Very comprehensive, and I would say maybe the most important part of today's presentation, since we're straight into the open call, in the middle of the open call. So it's important that we understand what's required of us as we apply. I'm going to share my presentation. Hi, everyone. Just there it is. I hope everybody sees it. If not, please don't let me present something without my slides on the background. So, hi, everyone. My name is Anka Luka. And I'm trying to move to the next slide. There it is. So I represent Innovex. And what I would like to do in the next couple of minutes is to give you hopefully a clear picture of what the program, our program within Open Horizon project looks like from our perspective. And basically what kind of journey you are going to be stepping into should you apply and should you be selected, or just like Virginia said, matchmaking with a corporate. So if you're matched with a corporate, then you're one of the lucky up to 16 startups entering this inception phase. So first off, a few words about our role in all of this. I always like to say that at Innovex, we don't just run acceleration programs. We like to sit at the intersection between startups and corporates, And just to make sure, like we do in Open Horizons, that things actually move forward. We've been working in this space for quite some time. This is our core team. I am program manager here for Open Horizon for the acceleration within the Open Horizons. And what I want to say is that I guess what we've learned is that the collaborations between startups and corporates don't necessarily fail because the technology is not good enough. Yeah, they usually do fail because either expectations are not very clear, either because communication breaks down, or because there's somebody out there that's not really, managing, or shall I say, orchestrating the project properly. So our role here is to structure this collaboration, to guide, hopefully, on both sides, and to make sure that what starts as a very promising match, I'm sure, will actually turn into meaningful pilots. Again, trying to move to okay, there it is. A little bit about the challenges, and I'm sure you're going to hear this further in the call, in this meeting. Please read the guidelines for applicants, because that is going to be your main point of reference when applying to this project. And it is very, very important that you go through the challenges. You will find them between pages 24 and 42, so pretty easy to remember as well. What I want to emphasize right now is that the challenges, even though they may seem, pretty general at first sight, they are not, and I assure you, they are not generic sort of innovation topics. They come directly from corporate needs. They were extracted with a lot of hard work. Again, even if they might seem a bit too generic and do not ask us for more details, I'm sorry, we cannot provide them to you. This is something that you need to understand. The challenges are intentionally kept at a higher level, mainly due to confidentiality considerations. Okay, so corporates cannot share detailed data at this point in time, like on internal processes or any sensitive business information at this stage, as I said. The idea is just to give enough direction to understand that there's a problem, or that what is exactly the problem's phase, while protecting critical information. It is what it is, but we're not stopping there, because more detailed context and also access to data will be provided after selection, so after matchmaking. Once everything is signed in place, NDAs, collaboration is formalized, you know the drill. Yeah, so please bear with the project, because and should you be amongst the ones selected for this fall's session. Sorry, I've been talking all day today, so please forgive me if I'm stuttering. So should you be selected, we will have corporates and startups that have been working within Open Horizons to craft their pilot and share with you information and tips and tricks on how to properly, go through this amazing project, because it's totally worth it. Okay, and now going back to the challenges, I often get the question, what TRL stage should we be in? And I always say it depends. Typically, it works with startups in the TRL 5 to 7 range, because you guys are expected to have a validated prototype solution that is ready to be tested in a real corporate environment. So between 5 and 7, like I said. These challenges are they're designed to be pilot ready. So it means that if you are selected, the expectation is not just for you to present your solution, but to actually test it in a real environment with real people, with one big, really intentional corporate. Yeah, these are the main themes that we are addressing in this call. For if you feel like I don't know, you want to maybe test your assumptions regarding the information you have in the guidelines, you can write to me directly and see if your assumptions are correct or not. But again, I will have to kindly ask you to be content as much as possible with the information that you have in these guidelines. Okay. And now to the point, because my presence here is basically to describe our program. So inception phase is basically the immediate next step after everything that Virginia just mentioned earlier. So you're being selected, you are one of the up to 16 selected startups, and after all the documentation is signed, starting September, you will meet myself and Innovex team, and we will go together through this inception phase, which of course becomes extremely important since we're talking collaboration with your matched corporation and of course possibility to move on to the POC phase. This very first phase is quite hands-on. As you can see, this is a pretty much the sort of the agenda of a typical inception phase. Because what we are going to do is to bring you together with your matched corporate and define, on the one hand, what your proof of concept will actually look like via the POC plan. So you'll be working together with the corporation on this. We will work together on your business model canvas, and I'm mentioning business model canvas and POC plan because these are also going to turn into some mandatory deliverables that you will have to give us by the end of the month in order to unlock the first lump sum, which is the 10,000 euro at the end of inception. So these are the most important workshops, and I'm stressing that because these are also workshops that you cannot miss if you want to unlock this inception and the corresponding sum, business model canvas, and proof POC plan. Yeah, we do the BMC not in a theoretical way. What we want to do is make sure that your value propositions are very clearly understood by the corporate and into the corporate context, and that the right stakeholders, both from on your side, on the startup side, and on the corporate side, are aligned, and that there is a realistic path forward. Yeah, you'll be in direct contact with corporate teams all throughout the process. Intermediate, we are going to be like your guiding light throughout this. So we are going to be there with you if I don't know, it happens, either the startup or the corporate are not very responsive, that we will intervene and we will do our best to not let anything go out of order. So you're basically thinking of us as your accelerator slash your extended team on your path to the selection for the POC plan. You will also see here all sorts of workshops. These are also very important. Alongside this work on the POC, there's sort of a second layer of the program. I would say it's equally important, especially from your perspective as deep tech startups. So you'll go through a series of targeted, let's say, workshops designed to support your growth beyond just the inception or the pilot itself. So we have, for instance, Microsoft or Google, but it's going to be Microsoft for sure Power Up Lab, this is through our partner. We've been partnering with Microsoft for quite some time. So you will get here access to of course, expertise, tools that can help you strengthen the technical side of your solution, and think about scalability in a very, very structured way. There are true experts and professionals, and you are going to love working with these guys. There's also going to be, for instance, a legal readiness workshop. We are going to have experts from our partner legal networks. For instance, you probably heard of DLA Piper. It's one of the largest legal firms in the world with the largest network of lawyers and offices. So we are going to have them with us. I know it doesn't sound very exciting talking about legal stuff, but trust me, it's absolutely critical, especially when working with a corporate. So we are going to understand stuff like IP, data, contracts, every and any aspect that can either unlock or block collaborations if we don't know what we're signing or what we're doing. All right. And I also have a sort of a simulation for what's happening on this call. So on the second call, you are going to be starting, if you're selected, of course, if you are getting in to be amongst those 16 startups, you are going to start in September. But trust me, it's pretty much the same structure. So we are going to have 2 mandatory BMC workshops. We are going to work with Microsoft. We are going to talk with corporates and deep tech VCs that are interested in looking at you, collaborating, maybe finding synergies with interesting solutions that they are trying to find within the European market. And everything is extremely well thought and structured so that after a month you will be able to deliver one complete BMC and one complete POC plan with your corporation. Of course, we have lots of criteria to take into consideration. I don't want to bore you with this. Let's just get to that point because this is very, very important. So the program has lots of aspects that we'll cover during the inception. So it's also about preparation for piloting, also about extension and growth and expansion beyond maybe the pilot or open horizons. But these are, subjects that we can discuss after you have entered the program. These are my contacts. I am, and I'm sure both Virginia and Maya and anybody in this call who knows me can testify to the fact that I answer very quickly and to the best of my abilities every time that I am asked anything. So please reach out, ask us, me, Virginia or Maya, or anybody who's been, talking to you a lot in this call. Just reach out, and but not after, and not until you have read the guidelines. Please, 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 again, read the guidelines. Most of the stuff is there. Trust me. Most of it is like, if something's not there, I would be very surprised. Let me just say that. I would be very, very surprised. So we put everything in there so that you can have like the full picture of the project and of the call. Okay, I'm going to shut up.
One final comment, which I just remembered before we jump into questions, is that not all corporate partners are published on the website. So please do not assume that you can guess which challenge belongs to corporate partner, because we've seen applications addressing a specific corporate partner and they were completely irrelevant to the actual corporate. So do not address your application to a corporate partner. All right. Any questions? Mohammed, Egypt is actually not eligible to apply, if that is a question. Was it that clear, or is everybody that tired and wants to just log off and be done
I know
for the
I
day?
am.
Vanelin, please go ahead.
Maybe one specific question. I'm also here with the founder of the company that will most likely apply for the open call. It's a Bulgarian-based SME, which it's a digital company, so it meets all the eligibility criteria. But because, as you said, and I perfectly understand that the open call challenges cannot be too specific. But for example, what she's going to try to apply with is a solution that is more on the helping food producers upcycle different vegetables or fruits into into market-ready products, reducing food waste, but she's helping with the compliance. So basically, the solution that is already validated and piloted is kind of a compliance solution which reduces their workload and also yeah, how do I say it? Legislative burden, the administration burden. So it's really shortens the deadlines and helps them with basically with all the requirements which are related to for food safety regulations. So is that something that fits?
So it's more on the policy side, right?
No, it's a technological solution that
Okay.
helps companies meet legislative requirements. So
Okay.
let's say a food producer has to have a health and safety plan for the food they're producing, or let's say they're producing some kind of a food product that they bring to the market. But what can happen is often this is very complex, especially for small food producers. So the solution really helps them with AI, make streamline this process way faster, way simpler, and just saves them a lot of time and money on expensive consultants. But the thing is, it's not by itself delivering this up food upcycling. So that's still it's in the hands of the producers, let's say, but then it really helps them with the process because it's also a big problem throughout the industry.
Yeah, I got it now. So you're basically solving like a part of the problem. I still encourage you to apply, because what I've noticed is that in the process, and at least when the corporation start being involved in interviews, they might just click with something that something that they haven't thought of, and might add actually to the solution that they are trying to find in the market. So I would say apply. Yeah.
Okay, I also just pasted in the chat as like a one sentence description of the solution.
Okay, got it. Yeah. I'll look at
Mohammed,
that.
please go ahead. Mohammed,
Hello?
Hi, we
Yes,
can hear
hi.
you now.
I already joined very late, so sorry for that. First question is like, there is a recording for the session. We can check after or no. Second thing is, what is the situation of the partner countries like Egypt, like ours, in the Open Horizon calls? Because like I got back to the guide, and there's some stuff like there's something in between to understand. There's no something specific about third party and partnership. But like as a partner countries, for sure we cannot be a lead organization for sure, but we can be part as a partner with a European partner to apply for Open Horizon call. We are SME, and at the same time we have organization fixing about digital transformation and social inclusion and gamification and some AI tools, and that's what we do. So we part of Erasmus, ESC, and Euromed, and many stuff already. Partner countries are over there. But for sure, we are
Mohammed?
interested in Open Horizon, but we don't know what is our situation as Egypt.
Yeah. Well, Egypt is not eligible to apply because Egypt is not a partner in all of the Horizon, not the Open Horizons, but Horizon Europe has several pillars, and Egypt is not eligible for this specific pillar. So for Open Horizons, it's not eligible, unfortunately.
if I can add, I think what Mohammed, you correct me if I'm wrong, you were asking,
Yeah.
you want to join a consortium to apply for a call, and I think this is not the right, maybe the name is confusing. Open Horizons is already a project under under Horizon Europe. So
I'm talking about Horizon Europe. Sorry, not Open Horizon.
exactly.
Okay.
So the
Horizon
name
Europe.
confused you, and this Open Horizons is a specific project, and we are offering non-dilutive finance to SMEs and startups. So we're not forming any consortia. Everything is already done on our side. So I think there's been a misunderstanding due to the name.
So
But-
how we can okay, so Open Horizon, we are not part of it. I got it now. Done. Like
Yeah, you were in the wrong call, I think.
But Horizon Europe, we can apply as a partner, right?
In some pillars, not all
Yeah, in some
pillars.
pillars.
But you can
Thank you,
find
guys.
online
Sorry for
where.
buzzing. Sorry for buzzing. Nice to meet you. Thank
No
you.
worries. Good luck. All right. So I will be ending this meeting since we are already in 1 hour, and I am pasting here in the chat our project email. So if you have any questions, please direct them to that email, and we will be in touch. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here this late, and hope you have a lovely evening.
Have a nice evening.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you
everyone.
all. Bye.
Ciao.